If you're of a certain age, you know the theme song, you know the characters, and you definitely know the dog. But have you ever stopped and wondered about the pretty complex machine that brought that giant red dog to your screen? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a childhood classic to answer a pretty simple question. Who is actually paying for Clifford?
Yep, that line right there. I bet it takes you straight back to sitting on the living room floor, completely glued to the TV, watching all the adventures on Birdwell Island. It's this piece of shared memory for millions of us, a simple, wonderful show about a girl and her impossibly big, impossibly red dog. But here's the thing that's kind of weird when you think about it. Watching Clifford on PBS was free. Or was it? I mean, it didn't have the same commercial breaks you saw on other channels. So if we weren't really paying for a ticket, who was footing the bill? That's what we're going to dig into.
Okay, so let's start peeling back the first layer of this funding onion. And this is probably the part you remember most clearly, the corporate sponsors. These are the brand names you heard at the beginning and the end of every single episode.
Now, what's so interesting here is that these brands weren't just, slapping their logos on the show and calling it a day. No, they were carefully building a message. Chuck E. Cheese's was all about fun. Danimals was about growing up strong. Lipton was about thinking. And Milton Bradley was all about playing together. Each one was trying to wrap its brand around a really core positive value of childhood.
And this is just a perfect example of the different ways they did it. On one hand, you've got Lipton with this very smart, kind of intellectual pitch, use your noodle. It's all about being clever. And then, on the other hand, Milton Bradley's message is totally social. Play together. It's about friendship and community. They were selling different ideas, all under the trusted umbrella of PBS Kids.
But there was one sponsor that was just everywhere. I mean, they were more persistent than any of the others. Their name, their jingle, it was all over the place, and their core message got drilled in our heads with some serious consistency.
This was it. Where a kid can be a kid. Over and over and over again. Chuck E. Cheese's worked so hard to fuse its brand identity with the wholesome, safe, and fun world that a show like Clifford represented. Honestly, it was a masterclass in brand association.
So that's the corporate side of things. But that was only part of the story. There was another, much bigger player involved. One that was announced in a phrase that I guarantee you remember.
You've heard this a million times, right? Funded in part by a ready-to-learn grant from the U.S. Department of Education. Wait a second. This wasn't a corporation. This was the United States government. So what exactly was this grant?
Okay, so here's the deal. This wasn't just some random pile of cash. It was a very specific program with a really clear goal: to use taxpayer money to help create educational shows and games for young kids. It was a deliberate, federal investment in early childhood education, delivered right to your TV. And the money followed a pretty clear path. It started at the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., then it was channeled through this group called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and from there, it finally got distributed out to your local PBS station, the one that actually aired the show. It was basically a pipeline designed to bring federal education goals right into American living rooms. All right, so we've got the corporations and we've got the government. But there's a third, absolutely vital source of funding that really brought the whole thing home and made it personal.
That's right, it's you, or, people like you. Direct donations from the audience, from viewers, make up about 15% of public television's entire budget. And listen, that is not just pocket change. It's a foundational pillar of the whole system.
And that is exactly why every single episode ended with this iconic line. It wasn't just them being polite. It was a real, genuine thank you and a constant reminder that the show you were watching existed, in part, because people at home just like you chose to support it.
Okay, so let's put this all together. You've got corporate money, you've got government money, and you've got viewer money, all flowing into the same pot. So what kind of system does that actually create, and why is it so important?
Well, it creates this really unique hybrid model. Think of it like a three-legged stool. You've got corporate underwriting, public funding, and viewer donations. If any one of those legs gets a little weaker, the others have to be strong enough to hold the whole thing up. It's a structure built on diversity, so it's not totally reliant on any single source.
And the result of doing it this way is, well, it's profound. It creates a buffer so that shows aren't just being made to sell more toys or more yogurt. It sets up this incredible public-private partnership all for the sake of education. And, crucially, it makes PBS accountable not just to corporations, but to the government, and, maybe most importantly, to the viewers at home who write the checks.
Which brings us to a final, pretty big question.
This whole system we've been talking about, it was designed for a broadcast TV era. So when you look at the media world now, dominated by streaming giants like Netflix and Disney+, funded by massive subscription fees or super targeted ads, you've really got to wonder, could a show like Clifford, with this unique 3-part funding model, even get made today? Definitely something to think about.